All right, on this episode of Inside Prediction Markets, we just got Henry and I. Henry is not himself right now. He's got nothing. He's got nothing to talk about. Oh! That's not what he said 5 minutes ago.
That's true.
All right, I got
going on vacation in 2 days.
Fair.
I got to start checking out already.
Fair enough. Well, that's not a good way to say a thing or say something to say while all the traders listen to this. They'll be thinking.
I know.
Okay. So first thing I noticed was President Trump saying that America needs to lead in technologies like prediction markets.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think it's very true, and I support that.
I couldn't agree more. He also name dropped Hyperliquid, right?
I didn't see that. I just saw that part.
He was checking all the boxes. It's interesting because we are seeing more and more states gearing up for legal battles. He signaling from atop that at the federal level, Trump has our backs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear this is going to get to the Supreme Court. No one is denying that. It'll be very interesting to see what happens.
We had some hearings with C-Lig last week too.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's most interesting to me is if Supreme Court rules in prediction markets' favor and Dems take control in 28, do they just pass a law to kind of get back at is this becoming a partisan issue?
Yeah, I don't think so because there's no voter base that really cares about being anti-prediction markets. I think if Trump can get it done or the Trump administration can, that it's kind of locked in for a while. I mean, similar things happen with crypto, right? Everybody finds crypto unsavory, but there's not actually a strong coalition to roll back rights on crypto.
The thing that's interesting to me, though, is undeniably prediction markets does cause states to lose some revenue.
Yes.
But at the same time, the states have handled themselves in such a way that basically prevents competition and is screwing over customers because of the egregious tax rates that they enable. So, what is the best thing? Are states going to do what's in the best interest of their people and giving them more competition and better outcomes, or more tax revenue for themselves?
We could definitely see state taxes on prediction markets if things go that way too. That's totally within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, which is fine. But I think the problem is, Novig tried to go that route, and it's just not possible. They make competition impossible, which is not good for the consumer. And the people complaining about this is just people protecting their bag, and obviously I'm protecting my bag by backing it. But I think at the end of the day, more competition only makes customers do better.
All right. Second story. This is a small story. We were hanging out at the office. We saw our CEO Jacob on CNBC advocating for prediction markets.
Could we say not our CEO? You're my CEO.
Yeah. We saw Novig CEO. Pretty cool. Kalshi stuff is all over CNBC all day long.
Yeah.
So had to steal a little bit of screen real estate.
And he was great. I listened to it. He answered all the questions very well. He had a good messaging and talking points and whatnot. I thought it was well spoken. Definitely no gotcha moments there for him.
By the way, did you notice that this past Saturday, PM volumes were up 25% week over week?
I don't understand how.
Yeah. Interesting. Because the UFC slate was worse.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about this.
Is it just because of preseason? But the preseason was there
last preseason the week before. Very bullish. We'll see what happens this Saturday.
Yeah, it was very confusing to me. I saw that. I was like, surely we did less volume. And then I checked the numbers and I was like, what?
Kalshi was over $1 billion on Saturday too.
Barely, but yeah.
Yeah. I think we might even be seeing the start of, it's slow, the process of onboarding customers, then funds, then activity, right? You might have people who are creating their accounts during week 1 of preseason and trading week 2. Story number 3.
This is not really PM related, but I just think interesting. It's people that were on NFL teams able to go back to college.
Oh yeah. So who is in the middle of doing this right now? Do you have the name of a player?
No, I do not. I just saw Schefter tweeted. There's someone mentioned that they recorded a sack or two in preseason and then just going back to college.
And so this all ties back to I think these are post-COVID changes to eligibility.
Yeah.
And guys who still have eligibility under the new rules. And I think it may actually be the case that this is a temporary thing because of those eligibility changes, and going forward, you'll just see more people stay in college longer. But yes, now you have players who are considering returning to college who are the size of full-grown NFL players. If you're a diehard college football fan, it's not a good situation.
Why?
Well, I don't think it's the product that people grew up with and fell in love with.
The product is they enjoy watching slave labor on the
Well,
field.
I always felt that way. It always grossed me out that these guys didn't make money.
I never understood. I think that one of my favorite South Park episodes is where Cartman is trying to buy slaves of by other college athletes, and because that's what it was, in my opinion. I mean, they're student athletes, but then it's like, if they don't play, they don't like that, and they have a huge problem. But what if Joe Burrow in college told his coach, "Hey, can I take this game off? I got to study for a test." You think that would have gone over well?
The worst one was the Johnny Manziel stuff. Have you ever seen that documentary where they were just literally protecting him and his drug and alcohol abuse and all of this stuff to keep him on the field? It's so gross. So I don't know what they're going to do in college football.
I think, to me, this is good, and it was due to happen, and I'm happy to see it happen. They destroyed the students and the athletes for decades, and they finally get that bag back, and I'm glad to see it. Maybe it's gone a little too overboard, but this is fantastic.
They probably need to block people from going back to school after they've played in the NFL.
I think a couple of things should be cleaned up. One, I think just give contracts out. What I don't like, the thing that I don't like is I see, and so something I would say is go back to Christian McCaffrey at Stanford. There's a whole big uproar that he sat out of the bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft. And oh, it was awful. He wasn't getting paid. So I think he's well within his right. If players want to sit out bowl games now, but they're getting NIL money and they're getting deals, they should have to. Then now I'm supporting. This is contracts. You got to play. Another thing is
a lot of them are sitting out because they know they're going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah. So then another thing, I think the transfer portal is a little bit of a mistake. I think you have some of these 2-star and lower tier players that maybe a weaker D1 school takes a shot on and overpays a little bit for them, but gets them to a 4-year contract, and now they got to commit for 4 years, and they should be blocked from transfer, in my opinion, because it's you need to give some power to the players can't have all the power where it's I can just opt out of contracts and do whatever I want and just get as much money. I'm all for them getting the bag, but it should be in a fair way where it's if they want to sign a 1-year deal, that's fine. If Arch Manning wants to sign a 1-year deal and then just lever himself and auction himself off to the transfer portal every year, go for it. You should do that. But if you're a weaker player that wants a 4-year deal, I think you should be forced to stay there for 4 years and be banned from. That's my opinion, at least.
The current system kind of resembles the issues the MLB has, right? Where just teams with bigger bankrolls can poach all the talent, and so that's not healthy for the business of college football because you do want. I mean, I say this: Indiana won the championship last year.
Oh, okay,
right? But
hang on a second. That Indiana was a top 10 spender. Let's not.
Oh, were they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's not like Indiana was this shitty program that had no spending. Maybe there weren't. I'm pretty sure they were top 10 in spending.
Are you counting the coach's contract? Is that
No.
expensive? Okay.
No. They signed a bunch of deals because I was talking to a real ball knower, and I was like, is Kurt Signetti just an absolute god? And it was well, they did he is very good, but they also did.
Nobody ever really knows with football coaches.
Yeah, but he did also get a boatload of good players in the transfer portal, and they did just spend a bunch. Yeah.
So we talked about volumes already up.
Yeah.
Week over week.
All right. So I want to talk about last night's game then.
Okay. Last night was Seahawks
Titans.
Titans, right? Oh, interesting line movement.
Yeah. So Mag was all over Titans
early.
Yeah. Oh, and most of the game.
Well, in game, but there was late Seahawks steam right before the game.
Yes.
Do you know what that was? What caused that?
I didn't. I asked a bunch of people. No news, in my opinion. Nothing.
Interesting. So just sharp handicapping action from the
I
Patriots.
don't think that's what's happened.
Okay.
I could be mistaken here, and if people disagree, feel free to DM me or comment or whatever. But I think what was going on is Penny's not taking anything. There's no one is really taking
Yeah.
any limits or any size here, and you get this one-way rec action. It actually does move the price, and no one has a true opinion because it's like preseason. Like when I talk to like people
are betting Seattle because they're Super Bowl champions. They're saying that's all it was.
yeah, they're playing the Titans. The Titans suck. Drew Lock is like actually pretty good at a quarterback, so why would I not bet the Seahawks? And I think they just moved the line here. And when I talk to like people bet preseason, they don't really know what the true fare is. Like what I mean is like, look, when Mac Jones plays, you know that Mac Jones is the best preseason quarterback. But how much better are the 49ers with Mac Jones than like the Titans with like Cam Ward or something like
You're
that?
kind of penciling in replacement level roster minus the quarterback.
Yeah, and it's like, does anyone really know what the replacement level roster is worth? Like, no one's done that much work on it because there's not a lot of tape on these guys. Like, they don't play. How are you supposed to know how good they are? And I'm not saying people are like shooting in the dark here, but it would not surprise me. I think of a lot, when we just had Hitman on, if a lot of times, it would not surprise me. I don't know exactly how he works, where it's like he sees a line and is like -4, and he's like, well, that should be a pick'em. And when he says that, he doesn't mean pick'em literally. He means it should be maybe +1 to -1, but somewhere in that vicinity, but certainly not -4. So I'm going to bet the +4, the money line on the other team. So I don't think anyone is scared. Like, I don't think anyone is like willing to take a stand and be like, no, the Rex have moved the line here. That was my read. Could be way off though.
The late line movements have been getting crushed in preseason, right?
That is like CLV is still the truth. And like, I know just went very hypocritical. I went against it, but CLV should be considered the truth unless you are sharp enough to know when it's not the truth. But like, as a general rule,
And even then be really skeptical.
yeah, and be very, very skeptical.
Well, okay, but then let's talk about, so I think preseason
NFL is one of the most interesting in-play spots that exists.
Yes.
Because you're constantly guessing who's coming out on the field next, right? That part's really fun. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how do you guys think about that when you're watching these games, trading these games?
So we have a great guy who's done an insane job. Shout out Dylan.
Dylan's nice, yeah.
A great job of basically getting the expected rotations of all the quarterbacks and everything. And what he does every game is sends a little write-up about what he's expecting to happen and how he thinks the market is projecting. This is extremely valuable because if he says, I expect Mac Jones not to play in the second half, and Mac Jones is playing in the second half, that is a significant edge. Mac Jones is I can't even remember who the QB4 is or 3, but like he is significantly, I just know the gap is pretty significant. Okay, now that's worth a couple points. San Francisco is probably a live look. And then what we've got to do as traders is kind of decipher, okay, what was the pregame spread, but how is that distribution? So something that's confusing is like, take the Bills. I think that Josh Allen played a drive or two, if I recall. Maybe this.
The problem is the backup's Kyle Allen. So I was just kind of listening in. I was like, Allen's still in?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, but the point I'm making is like, the Bills, I think, were a favorite. But that was mostly predicated on they're getting 2 drives of Josh Allen, who is obviously by far and away the best preseason player that's going to play.
So once he's gone, it's a flip.
Right, but it's like, what's actually happening is like the Bills are technically a full game +2, but those 2 drives of Josh Allen are worth like
6 points.
4 or something, whatever. I'm spitballing here. And it's like, so you have to think about, okay, based on the game state, what should the actual spread of the game be? Which is not the pregame spread. It's like, you have to factor in which quarterback's playing. Then you have to look at the live score and kind of ball knowledge what the live spread should be. And then know, okay, if there was a quarterback in or out that we weren't expecting, how should the line move? So that's how to trade. And there's a lot of angles and spots that you can take
It
here.
was fun. Last night we were debating how good Hendon Hooker is. Right? It's like, oh man,
Virginia Tech legend.
NFL is back. Because this happens regular season too, right? Some of these teams end up running, can Bailey Zappi throw a ball or not, right? A lot of money has been bet on whether or not Bailey Zappi can actually play quarterback.
He was the dog in college.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
in like
all
the
the
shitty division. But like still.
And then, of course, you have your settlement rules with ties and whatnot, which are confusing.
And which is different across different exchanges.
Yes.
So there is, I don't want to give too much alpha away, but there's spots where like there's one trade, they're trading the same price in different exchanges, and it's going to one exchange and not another exchange.
Call that stat arb.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of not quite.
I think some of the people call it rules cucking.
Yeah, they do that too. What has the preseason taught you or suggested to you about what's going to happen once regular season gets rolling?
I mean, just look at like the time. There was a standalone Sunday night game, and it was doing like more volume than most of the MLB, and live, which just blew MLB out of the water. Even compared to like some Dodgers prime time games, and it's like this is preseason.
Yeah.
Like I would not be surprised if in the first week we see a cumulative across all the games that just straights, not even RFQ.
Yeah.
Across all the exchanges and PMs, one game does $1 billion in volume.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, 1 billion in straight volume would be nuts, but very possible.
Maybe not week one. Okay, that
I was thinking with parlay volume, you might have a 1 billion single game. Although it's hard to quantify how to allocate volume
true.
across it. But I think you're directionally right.
I mean, last year on kalshi, if I recall, 40 million contracts, Bills Ravens.
Week one, yeah.
They've grown a lot. Like it doesn't seem unreasonable to me that there gets like 500 million. Novig, we know, is going to do like in the tens of millions in a game, and then it's going to be pretty crazy.
Let's talk about the balance of the ecosystem right now. So we've got kalshi's doing the lion's share of all the volume.
Yeah.
Poly US and international are lagging behind. I think Poly US is doing more volume than Poly International.
It flip flops, but most of the time,
most of the time.
And then Novig is a third.
Underdog Nadex is in third. We're right there. We're kind of leading on top of Rothera. Then you get into your long tail of a lot of other participants. The thing that's been interesting to me is that a lot of players like Rothera, DraftKings, Underdog, I would have thought would have a better foothold in the industry by this point. Do you agree?
Who? Oh, those guys.
Those guys, yeah. Rothera being Robinhood.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago, we used to talk about, well, kalshi's volume numbers are kind of bullshit because it's really Robinhood customers, right?
Yeah.
And that once you hot swap the back end, whoever owns the back end of Robinhood is dominating. And that's just not been true at all.
I know. I can't believe it. I was so wrong on that.
Yeah. Unless Robinhood is still routing some kind of flow to kalshi or something. But my understanding is they're not.
No, I don't think they aren't much at all. I think it's just the UI thing. And I think also just like name brand recognition. They've done a good job of.
Well, polymarket is a lot of brand penetration. I mean, DraftKings is a lot of brand penetration.
But you think of DraftKings Sportsbook.
I know, but they've integrated. It's all in one app, and they're not.
But the other app is just so much worse. It is so much worse, and I think that's the biggest problem. If when you go on Novig, it's a clean app experience. When you go on DK Predicts, it's not the most clean experience.
Yeah,
that is. So I think what people are saying is, oh, if I want to sports bet, I'll use DraftKings or FanDuel. It's a good app. But if I want to like make a trade on prediction markets, I'll use kalshi or Novig, and that's what the problem.
Leave Novig out of it for a minute. Of everybody besides kalshi and polymarket, who do you think's most likely to make a big leap during the NFL season?
Underdog by far.
Underdog?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Fantasy's their big thing. I think they get football.
You think they get football?
Yeah.
Get product. They're good on product in general.
And I think that matters a lot in football.
Yeah. The sale is interesting. I know a lot of their resources are.
I do think Novig is good, but like
I know
there's a little bit of a bias there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had to bet on anyone, it would, other than Novig and polymarket and kalshi, it would be Underdog 1.
Yeah.
Flutter 2.
Interesting. Now, Flutter's just FanDuel.
Yeah.
Is just the UI product. They don't own a back end yet, right?
I don't really believe so.
Yeah. So they're flexible.
I think if I had to guess, FanDuel's preparing something big for NFL. That's my guess. That's my
we know people there, so
maybe conspiracy theory.
Clarify if you actually know it.
I don't know. No, I do not know. I don't.
Because we got friends that work at FanDuel.
No, I have no idea.
Chris, come on, you're selling me out. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I wonder who.
But who would you back?
Underdog is showing the level of investment, right? And to some degree, it feels kind of like they're abandoning some of the fantasy product. So I don't think that's a bad pick. I've been surprised by the underperformance of Robinhood, so I wouldn't want to pick them. Yeah. I don't love any of them as nominees, honestly.
You got to pick one.
I'll tail you on Underdog. We'll see.
Wow, Steve Chaser.
Yeah, big time. I'm thinking about the fact that they just sold, so they're sitting on
That's a big.
The sale indicates to me a desire to accumulate cash reserves to deploy into PMs, which maybe are just going into R&D, but might be going into marketing as well. Yeah. Again, I don't know, but that's what I'm most interested to see.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What else do we have going on? We have U.S. Open coming up.
Yeah, that
Probably the lamest slate of professional tennis players I've seen for a major.
just because Yannick's out.
Yannick's out. Alcaraz is just back from injury.
No, this is good. I'm excited for it.
It's excited.
I'm a huge Djokovic fan,
I know you are. He has a chance to get.
and I want to see him get 25.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see Sheldon make a run. It's a good tournament.
Djokovic, yeah, that's who I want.
Okay, well there you go. Now we're just talking about fandom stuff. Tennis has been a little messy this year. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily a great thing if you just have two dominant men battling each other in the final every time. But men's tennis has been like this for a long time, where it's a clear tier above.
I mean, the Sinner Alcaraz matches of last year were all like movies. Like,
They were sick. Yeah.
Like the French Open.
The French Open
was
particular
just disgustingly good.
Was
The best
straightforwardly inspirational.
the best tennis match I've seen of all time.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think there probably was better matches, but I think immediately it was like ranked as a top 5 match of all
High
time.
drama, high stakes, a lot of history wrapped up in the
Yeah. And then like, yeah, Wimbledon, Sinner kind of rolled him, and then the U.S. Open, Alcaraz kind of rolled him, but they were still like good quality matches, and it's like you never know what's going to happen with these like matches. You're like, because when the French Open was there, it's like Alcaraz literally came back from like he was 1% dead, but it's just like he's so dominant, you just feel like he's always in it. So that's what makes it so exciting. Where it's like when like Sinner is playing Shelton, and like Sinner wins the first set, you're just like, oh, Shelton's dead. Like I don't see it. But when Alcaraz,
it's hot outside.
yeah, sure. But when Sinner plays like Alcaraz, you're like, even if he's down 2 sets, like anyone could come back. I don't know.
Yeah. How much volume do you think the late rounds of U.S. Open will do on PMs?
Well, I think we both know this, but they're parlay heavens.
Yes, that's true. Early on, it's the parlays that are going to be ripping.
I think everyone has the same brilliant idea. I know we see this isn't really like leaking alpha. All the Recs love to parlay and RFQ all the big favorites.
Yeah.
Which is, the first round.
Good strategy. Keep doing that.
Yeah. The first round, you get a lot of minus 1,000 in there, 90% plus opportunities. So I think we'll see that. But the straight volume, it's actually a very big live sport. People love to trade on live.
Is great. Settlement is a little tricky with PMs.
Yeah.
Always the same old story with all this.
But like I've been trying to trade I was trading some Cincinnati live, and it's like I'm impressed with the volume that we get. Yeah. I'm like, it's pretty good overall.
If you target actual interesting matches that are both matchups people care about, and interesting things are happening in them.
All the Coco Gauff matches.
Yeah. A lot of them, the favorite gets up early and there's just nothing to do.
Yeah. But any like 50-50 match where there's a swing in there, it's like,
or a favorite who gets down early, that kind of thing.
Those are the best to trade.
Yeah.
The Sabalenka down, I can't even remember.
I know.
We were on her opponent, and I don't even remember her name, but it's whatever. She got smoked.
Shout out her. Yeah. Sabalenka got smoked.
Well, Sorry, no, she got smoked by Goff in the end.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it, I was surprised by how much the World Cup did because Americans don't care about soccer, but it's like, well, it's in America and soccer is a very PM friendly sport. And so I wonder if the combination of the US Open being, the American thing it is, it's also become more of like an Instagram thing. The tickets are crazy expensive this year. I feel like there's demand for it, and I wonder if that dovetails well.
The thing I think it's going to do, I think earlier on it's going to do good because it's not competing with football. But I think the problem is, like, if I recall, like a couple of sessions ago, they had the final during
A Sunday of football.
and I'm like, why are you competing
And
with
the women's
NFL?
is during college football.
Yeah, like, guys, you cannot be competing with football. That is just a mistake. If they put it on like Monday at like 5 p.m. right before Monday Night Football, like people would watch it.
That would do numbers.
Right. Or
But they always play the final on Sunday.
it doesn't make any sense. Like, don't compete with football, and then you'll see more volume.
Yeah. WNBA is the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry thinks we should not be talking about BetBash, despite the fact it happened like 1 week ago. And
We put out our app from it. Thanks, Pads. Pads was great.
yeah,
Loved having out.
we said we were going to do it last episode, and then we forgot.
Okay.
And I think BetBash is big enough, and we can't let our very evil competing pod, the Risk Takers pod, like
Very evil. Very bad.
yeah.
One of my favorite parts of BetBash was that SP Sports Projections was out there showing his face to everybody.
Yes.
Finally being a human being. Shout out to him.
Yes. I think BetBash is really great. Got a lot of connections. We got some we interviewed some people from MAG from that, and just as an aside, if anyone's watching this and wants a job at MAG, always DM me.
You're going to have my job, dude. Come on down.
No, that's not true. We need Henry. He's somewhat valuable. We're always interested. You can always DM me. But yeah, it was like nice to see everyone there. Like put a face to the name. Sometimes you just text people on Twitter or Telegram and you don't really know what they look like, and then you talk to them.
A lot of people came up and introduced themselves to me by their handle
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
How was it for you overall? Did you make any good
It
connections?
was incredibly stressful.
God.
What do you want me to say? What I find
I'm so important. It's so stressful.
No, what I find is that I always spend January. I've spent the first half of the year talking about and planning all the things that'll be ready by football season, because we know once we get to football, we're just trading. There's no room to think about anything else. It's such an onslaught, and so it kind of naturally happens for me that every year right around BetBash, I'm like, oh no, I have 4 weeks to go, and the walls are closing in on me. And I talked to a few guys who repeat the same cycle, and they go, yeah, it just happens every year. Go get used to it, or maybe you don't. So that's how I felt. But I did have a good time. I really enjoy going out there, and all our guys we brought out there, I think, had a good time too. So I was happy about that. I think we'll roll very deep next year.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think the biggest thing for BetBash, I think it's not like you can attend, like our seminars are great and everything. Like
So good.
Yeah. But like that's not really what matters. It's about the dinners that aren't official.
It's about getting somebody to buy you dinner. Yeah.
Okay, that's not the real. I think we could afford $100 dinner or whatever. It's about meeting the people there. That's where the real conversations happen, and that's when it's all about.
You got to say hi to Spanky too. You gotta pay your respects to the big man.
Of course, he was great.
Yeah,
as always. And he came through with the footage in a timely manner, which we really appreciated.
Us up on that. Yeah, they did a good job this year.
Yeah, it was great. I was like, again, the audio was. And people were complaining about the audio and the footage. They were like, was just recorded on a potato. But it was a camera from like 20 feet.
We got to bring our producer next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll fly her out there. She'll have a lot to do.
Shaking her head, not excited.
Yeah. Okay, let's call it there.
All right.
See you next week.